What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to your daily silver stacking video. Thank you, and I genuinely mean thank you for tuning in. I don't think you realize how important of a role you play in the silver community. You're the ones that watch the videos, like the videos, leave comments, helping other people in the comment section, spreading the awareness of silver's true value and the worthless aspect of the dollar, right? There's two sides of the thing. I make the content, but you also have a major role, and I appreciate you all for tuning in and not just watching my channel, but also others. And speaking of that, the co-host of the Silver Stacking podcast that is with me, Investing with TJ, he's at 9.99K subscribers. He's less than 100 away from 10K. Please get him there. His channel, in my opinion, is the best silver stacking channel on YouTube. His quality matches the information, right? It's usually one or the other. He makes his silver videos like YouTubers. He actually puts clips in a little intro, like a little skit in the beginning. It's impressive. And when I found his channel, I knew right away that he's onto something, and I actually was inspired to do the podcast from him. He's a chartered financial analyst. He's he's gonna break down the technicals. He's the numbers guy, right? I'm not that. I'm the more supply and demand, silver shortage, economic, even silver stacking strategies. So I thought, how interesting would it be if we both had a conversation bringing our areas of expertise together? It's perfect. If you've watched the podcast, you'll know hour plus long, and we cover so much stuff and have the deepest conversations about silver and the markets that I think personally is on YouTube. We posted the second episode, getting 1,000+ views already, almost 1,000 subscribers. Which, by the way, we're doing a 1,000 subscriber giveaway. I think we already have like 800. So get there while you can if you want to win some silver. But also make sure you push him to 10K today. Let's do it today. He made a video yesterday. He made $7,748 selling silver and a little bit of gold. That's not the point of the video, though. In my opinion, the most important point was what the local coin shop owner paid for his eagles. You will not believe it. If you saw my video yesterday, you would, because I put a little snippet of that video in mine, but you want to go watch that video. It's also the most important video on YouTube, silver stacking video on YouTube right now as well, because the information that and just what was in that video and what was said is a game changer. So yeah, go check him out. Also go check out the Silver Stacking podcast. It's amazing. It's the first silver stacking podcast on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, click the bell. I'm going to be posting more content now and daily videos on the Silver Stacking podcast. A lot of content. We're stepping up one notch. We're taking things to a new level, and I hope you're excited. Now, we're looking at an article that says gold price at $10,000 and silver at $500 due to a decade of shortage. Let me bring something up. One, I want you to let me know if you think silver is worth $500 and why. There's two types of people, of silver stackers. The ones that only look at silver's potential from the dollar side of things, right? From interest rates, from its hedge against inflation. But then there's the other ones that look at the shortage, like me, that focus more on supply and demand, that looks at what silver is going to be needed in this new digital era. So if those people that are just looking at interest rates are going to talk about $500 silver, they're going to call me a silver pumper. They're going to say that's not realistic. And that's where most of the forecasts come from. When you look at these price forecasts, they're saying like $24, $25 silver. They're not incorporating the severity of the silver shortage. The U.S. Mint sold 5 million American Eagles in the first month of January. Normally, for the entire year, annually, it's around 13 million, and we already hit 5 million in the first month. This article finally breaks down the shortage as well, which is so important, because if not, you're missing an entirely other side of things of why silver is going to skyrocket. So let's look at this. Like I said, please like the video. Please leave a comment. I really think this video needs to get out there, and you're the ones that are going to make that happen. Now, this will be a decade of shortage defined by high inflation and a failed attempt to raise rates. The perfect combo to trigger a massive rally in gold. And that was from Gehring, and that's the associate manager at partner at Lay Gehring. Now, next part, inflation could already be pushing 9%, and it could get a lot worse. We're getting closer to the explosion of gold prices to the upside. I'm a big believer that inflation is not going away. It's going to continue to be a problem. We could be looking at a black swan event in inflation. It could be an oil shock, which oil is actually, the price of oil is extremely close to and influences the price of silver. And TJ actually talked about that in the podcast yesterday. But also natural gas shock and agricultural shock. Now, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell already shocked the markets this week by dropping a phrase that inflation is transitory and stating that the U.S. Central Bank will be discussing accelerating the pace of tapering at the upcoming December meeting. Now, they talked about, I think they said 7 rate hikes, and then they said down to 4, and now I think it's 3. But anytime they say those numbers, it's just an assumption. It's expecting, which the markets move off that assumption until the numbers or the situation actually plays through, and then things actually correct back out. Because right now, speculation can move markets, but once the real data comes in, that's where the markets stabilize. Now, it's going to be, and they're still talking about gold right here. So we're talking about $10,000 gold and $500 silver. I really want you to understand this. It's not going to happen tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year. Anyone who's saying silver is going to reach $500 next year, don't listen to them. That means they're just trying to hype it up way too much. That's not realistic. That's not realistic. And if it did hit $500 next year, it would crash extremely hard and take several years to recover. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin went from like $1,200 to $16,000 within like a 4-month time frame. And that's why it crashed, and it took, 5-6 years later to finally stabilize and get back up. You don't want it to just go up, 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 or then it's going to crash, crash, crash. You want it to go up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little, because then the price is stabilizing. It's building stability. How big of a bull market will it be? Gehring said he's expecting gold to reach $10,000 an ounce by the end of the decade, and for silver, eventually catch up around $500 an ounce. So they're saying at the end of the decade. Now, by 2028, gold could be over $10,000. If gold is over $10,000, and we go back to the 20-to-1 gold ratio to silver ratio, which I think is going to happen, and actually I'll explain later in the video, I think it could actually be lower than that. Now, that's $500 silver, right? The 16-to-1 ratio is what it's been for thousands of years. Until 1930, it was actually 16-to-1 when FDR got in office and changed the gold to silver ratio from 16-to-1 to 75-to-1 in 1930, single-handedly devaluing silver, right? But just remember the 20-to-1 ratio, because that is it's very possible. Right now, it wouldn't be, but when silver does start to take on a life of its own, when the silver shortage is in full peak in probably 3-4 years, I think that's when we're really going to start to see silver's true value start to shine. So when people ask me, when do you think we're going to see triple digit silver? I always say 2024 to 2025. That's when the Green New Deal is going to be in full effect. That's when electric vehicles are going to be in full effect. It's not even the beginning yet. The beginning hasn't even started, and there's already a major silver shortage. We already just sold 5 million ounces in the first month of January. The U.S. Mint couldn't even keep up with 13 million ounces last year. They had to make a limited mintage supply of Type 1 and Type 2 Eagles. Then a million mintage at the end of the year from the San Francisco Mint, but The point is that if they couldn't even come up with 13 million ounces and we already are at 5 million in the first month, this year is when we are really going to experience a harsh silver shortage, when people like not just you and I are going to have to take note. Every electric vehicle company by the year 2030 is going electric. It's going to take time for people to really for the shortage to become scarce to a degree where it's completely detached from gold, because right now it still is pegged. So let's keep moving on. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. My 2 cents in there. He says that's 20-to-1 ratio. That's $500 silver. It will be decades of shortages, or a decade of shortages, and everyone's going to get poor except for the people that own physical gold and silver, which is true. And not only poor by not taking or not managing their money properly, but even just leaving it in a bank account as the dollar loses more purchasing power. It's already lost 98% of its purchasing power, and that's a literal number, not 97%, not 99%. 98% is a literal number, and it all started in 1971 as soon as we got rid of the gold to silver ratio, or as soon as we got rid of the gold standard. If you look at a chart to the dollar's strength or its purchasing power, as soon as we got rid of the gold standard, it spiked dramatically, really just showing that gold and silver was the only hope. Silver is another quintessential inflationary metal to buy and hold during the next decade. The word another, I think, is important to note there, because gold is overvalued right now, silver's undervalued. If we're looking, and if you want to know why I say that, we're looking at a 20-to-1 ratio. The gold to silver ratio now is well above 70. When the ratio drops, that means silver's outperforming gold. When the ratio is going up, that means gold's outperforming silver. The ratio in March 2020 was 125-to-1, meaning, and that was when gold was, breaking through $2,000 and silver's sitting at $11 in March. So when the ratio goes downwards, that means silver's outperforming gold. Since the ratio is still above 70, that means that gold is overvalued and silver's undervalued compared to gold. If you're an investor, why would you invest into the thing that's overvalued, right? You want to get the thing that's undervalued, because then you're getting it cheaper than what it's worth. So the price, when it does normalize, goes up and you make profit. So to say another, I think silver's more important to invest into than gold. I think gold has some benefits. You can fit $100,000 worth of gold in a shoebox. Can't do that with silver. Now, inflation will get a lot worse during the decade of shortages, and this is an underinvestment in the resource sector that will play a big role. When we look back on this decade and ask what happened, it's going to be looked upon as the decade shortage. It's going to be a shortage of everything. Over the last 10 years, we've radically underinvested our resource space relative to demand. I mean, look at what's happening at Exxon, Chevron, ESG concerns. They're not talking about replacing their resource base. The underinvestment is the resource sector is in the resource sector, which is going to manifest itself in what's going to be highly inflationary. And then this year, inflation accelerated from under 3% to over 6%. And at some point in 2022, we could approach 9%. And the one key metric to watch is the bond market, which has far largely dismissed the rising price pressures. We have inflation now, but we don't have inflation psychology. And that's what the bond market is saying too. However, what happens if the bond market changes its mind? We could see a massive panic selling, and that's going to be a big problem for equities. In 2022, the bond markets could finally incorporate inflationary expectations. And I like how he switched the game. What if something happens differently, right? Markets change. Times are changing. What influences the price of silver is changing, and the unknown variable. A lot of people look at silver's price moving forwards as if everything is still going to be the same and set in stone. But if a wrench could get thrown in next year that changes things drastically, right? A lot of people don't incorporate the unknown variable. Now, during the last month of 2021, gold is still in its corrective phase after hitting new record highs last year, but the long-term investors have been using this opportunity to buy. Gold hasn't been the place to be for performance reasons this year, and I think that performance discrepancy will continue for another 6 months. But for people that are looking to buy gold for the long term, they are buying now. Gold stocks, too, they are the cheapest they've ever been. Another big winner for next year will be the agricultural sector, especially fertilizer stocks, according to Gehring. The only thing that's done better than fertilizer prices in 2021 has been natural gas, and they are improving fundamentals in global fertilizer markets. Energy fertilizer is very energy intensive. China has already curtailed the fertilizer production. Increased demand and light supply constraints could make these stocks the super winners of 2022. And there we go. Low supply, high demand shoots the price up, and that's investing 101. So, I'm curious what you think. Let me know. Do you think silver's worth $500? And another point to note is, this is an important point. Almost more important than the point of spot price. If silver hits $500, that might not necessarily mean that spot price is at $500. A lot of people last year predicted $50 silver by the end of 2021. Now, they weren't necessarily wrong. Yes, spot price wasn't there, but to buy a physical ounce of silver, a lot of people online are paying $50. So they weren't wrong. It's just from a different angle, right? I mean, if silver's $300, but by the time that's happening, there's an extremely high shortage, or silver's extremely scarce, then spot price won't be $500, and that equaling to the same price you have to pay for an ounce of silver or physical ounce. The physical ounce would be probably 700-800. You have to remember that the bigger gap happens, or the bigger premiums happen, as silver becomes more scarce. If you want proof for that, look at gold prices on APMEX, which there is no premiums. Look at silver prices on APMEX. There's huge premiums. When did these huge premiums start? As soon as the U.S. Mint started running out of American Eagles. As soon as they announced there's a silver shortage, premiums grew. And looking at the 5 million American Eagles they sold this year in January alone is very alarming, to say the least. And if you watch the video on TJ's channel, you'll see why it's so alarming. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you thought this video was 1, educational, 2, informational, 3, at least entertaining, make sure to hit the like button. Like I said, please go get TJ to 10,000 subscribers. His channel is incredible. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. I'm not just saying this because he's my co-host. Genuinely, without a doubt, one of the best silver stacking channels. From the amount of time, thought that's put into his videos, you'll see he really thinks about his stuff, and he's extremely smart. I mean, this is his job on the side, becoming a chartered financial analyst, and he's specializing in gold and silver, especially silver, actually. So he deserves it. He really does. Make sure you go get him to 10K. And check out his last video as well. It's really, really cool. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.